I accidentally fed my gluten-free mom gluten and caused her to explode with crap, but it was only spewing from her mouth because she's full of it. So, my mother and I don't have a great relationship. Throughout my life, she has pushed all kinds of fad diets, self-help flavored fads, and even conversion therapy through the troubled teen industry on me. She's never apologized for any of it, despite me telling her how much it all messed me up. I still haven't mustered the courage to go no contact because she's still married to my dad, who I get along with and generally like. Recently, I moved to a new place in a really nice area because I just got a great new job. Suddenly, my mom really wants to come and visit me. I do my best to make up excuses, but she pushes so hard that I eventually cave. One of the things I've been doing since moving into my new place is a lot of cooking because I have a nice, big kitchen all to myself. I love weird food and finding new ways to get protein in my diet without using meat. Something I've had a lot of fun making lately is ladiao. It's probably not weird to some people, but to my sheltered American self, it was funky as hell, and I love the idea of it. So, I started making it from scratch and discovered that I love it. Well, my mom and dad got here yesterday afternoon/evening. They settled in, and we started talking about dinner. As usual, my mom had to choose, after looking at online menus for a couple of hours to make sure they fit with her dietary requirements. She ended up picking a vegan restaurant across town, but she was so tired from the drive up that she couldn't fathom getting back in the car. So, my dad and I agreed to go pick it up while she rested. Driving across my new city is a long process, which I told her ahead of time, and it's a little over an hour later when we get home with the vegan/gluten-free food she wanted. She's not vegan, but she's been adamantly gluten-free for a few years now. We get inside, and as I'm opening the food in the kitchen, I notice that the container of ladiao that was in my fridge is now empty in the sink. She even dumped out the sauce I'd been soaking them in. I asked her if she'd eaten something out of my fridge while we were gone, and she said that yes, she had eaten some chicken because she was getting lightheaded from hunger. But she added that it was terrible, and she was so ready for some real food. Now, this is where I might have been a jerk. Instead of telling her what she had actually eaten, I just rolled my eyes, dished up the food for everyone, and we ate. She continued to remark about how bad and oily the chicken was and how relieved she was to finally eat something substantial throughout the rest of the evening. My dad kept trying to change the subject, but she kept coming back to it. I finally snapped when she brought it up again first thing this morning as I was picking them up from their hotel. I asked them where they wanted to go for breakfast, and my mom made a joke about not wanting me to cook breakfast because she didn't want more oily chicken, or something to that effect. I finally said, "Mom, that was homemade ladiao, and I don't understand why you ate all of it if you hated it so much." She asked me what ladiao is, and I explained that it's just vital wheat gluten and water, steamed and soaked in sauce. I practically watched as her face dropped, and sure enough, within 30 minutes her stomach was killing her, and she was having difficulty breathing and needed to go to the emergency room. The whole time we were there, she went on and on to the nurses and doctors about how I'd fed her gluten and hadn't told her until it was too late for her to take her medicine, crying because now the whole trip was ruined. Mind you, this is the hospital where I work. My dad pulled me aside to tell me he was disappointed that I hadn't spoken up last night, and how what I'd done not only hurt my mother's feelings but also put her health and safety at risk. He asked me to go home, think about my actions, and give my mother some space. Now I'm just sitting here alone in my cool new place, feeling like a jerk and super anxious about what work is going to be like next week. I'm torn because I don't think it's my fault that she ate my food without talking to me first, but I'd be lying if I said I didn't omit the information about what she'd eaten because I was pissed at her and just didn't want to discuss it further. I also didn't expect it to make her so sick. Update 6 hours later. Just got home. So after everything went down this morning, I went back to the hospital to check on my parents. My mom was still in the emergency department and sleeping, so I got to talk to my dad and the doctor for a bit. My dad still thought I should apologize, and I told him I would when she woke up. When I talked to the doctor, I started asking about testing. I asked if they had done a test for the specific kind of immunoglobulin present in celiac disease when someone has gluten, and she said they hadn't needed to because my mom had already had that test done with her PCP. The doctor then asked me if I worked in the medical field, and I told her that, yes, I worked in the lab. She then volunteered a bit more information than she probably should have, but I'm glad she did because I feel a bit better. She managed to get my mom's lab results faxed over and looked them over. Apparently, my mom's TTG-EGA was low enough that it was absolutely clear she does not have celiac disease. The doctor had offered to refer her for a biopsy, which is the standard procedure for confirmation of celiac, but my mother declined. I later confirmed with my dad that it was because she didn't think it was worth the expense and pain of surgery to confirm something she believes she already knows. Furthermore, according to the nurse, my mother was given lorazepam, which he told me was for her stomach pain and nausea. He actually put this in air quotes with his fingers. In case you're not familiar with lorazepam, it's a benzodiazepine that's also used as an anti-anxiety sedative, along with treating some gastro symptoms. Apparently, the medicine my mom had been talking about was some kind of holistic/herbal remedy. The cherry on top is that the nurse is Chinese and loves Ladiao, so now I have a new work friend. I thanked them for all their help, and they indicated that she was ready to be discharged. My dad wasn't inclined to wake her up, but I explained that there were other people waiting to be seen, and they couldn't be seen if there were no open beds. I then asked the doctor if she could write my mom a prescription for more lorazepam, which she agreed to, and that seemed to placate my dad. I wheeled my mom out to my car. She was high as hell, going on and on about how she couldn't believe I'd poisoned her and saying that if I wasn't her daughter, I'd be going to prison. I just apologized, didn't offer any excuses. When I got them to their hotel and my mom was waiting on a couch in the lobby while my dad grabbed her bags from my car, I told my dad it was probably better if they just went home. I'm not going to lie, I got a little emotional. He agreed. So yeah, based on the lab work and the way the emergency department staff were acting, I'm convinced my mom was faking for sympathy and attention. Not that it matters because my dad will always support her no matter what. I'm never having them over again.